Envisioning a golden age. This is a quote from Ovid's Metamorphose. There was a time, the golden age, we call it, happy in fruits and herbs, when no men tainted their lips with blood, and birds went flying safely through the air, and the field rabbits wandered unfrightened, and no fish were ever hooked by its own credulity. All things were free from treachery and fear and cunning, and all was peaceful. But some innovative, a good for nothing, whomever he was decided in envy that what lions ate was better, stuffed meat into his belly like a furnace and paved the way for crime. One crime leads to another. So, what does it mean to create a golden age? Let's examine this. So, from the perspective of time, the cycles of the universe spiral in certain ages. We have dark ages, light ages, and everything in between. The Hindus or the yogis thought of this as different yugas: Treta, Dwapara, Satya, Kali. These different yugas represent different periods where the collective consciousness is operating in a certain way, which is correlated to astrologically where the planet is in relationship to the solar system and the energies that are coming into the earth and constituting life on this planet. So, as many people are well aware, we went from a Aquarian age represented by the fish we went from a Piscean age represented by the fish to an Aquarian age. And this shift in ages, some people call this the new age. Some people looked at 2012 as that transition, and many people or many books that I have read indicate that the transition is not something that happens overnight, obviously, but something that takes time in order to be delivered and transitioned. So that shift, some people saw from the start of the 90s to 2012 was first stage, and then from 2012 to 2036 is the next stage, and then in different ways we have different transitional points where we as a species are transformed, and consequently the social systems on Earth are transformed. And so that transformation is going to happen both within us, and as the inner reflects the outer is reflected in the institutions and also the artwork that we find in this world. And so, contemplating a golden age, we contemplate what are the highest possibilities for life on the planet, and what is an image, what is a vision, what is a story, what is a insight that we can feel inspired collectively in order to assist life on this planet, right? So let's imagine that we live on a world where there's no guns. Let's imagine that we live in a world where there's no military. Let's imagine that we live in a world where there is no need for a government, where there is no need for oppression, where there's no need for suppression, where there's no need for fear. Let's imagine we live on a planet where we are replenishing life on Earth, where we are creating and restoring beauty to this planet through gardening and farming practices that are not about depleting the soil, but about renewing the planet. Let's imagine that the scientists and the artists and the healers come together so that we go, aha, this is what we can do. The knowledge says that this is possible, but we need a way of implementing that, and then we need a workforce oriented towards that. And so we find our system filled with so much opportunity, but so little organization towards fulfilling that higher drive of creating the golden age. In one sense, we're going backwards, a lot of us, and fulfilling more of the illusory nature of the constructed paradigms that are destroying this planet. So the good news is, when we wake up, we'll begin to ask questions like, how did we get ourselves here? And what is the direction that we can be heading in collectively as a species in order to create the life that we want to create as a species, right? So in the golden age, there are some universally agreed upon things that can inspire us to live in a certain way on this planet and can mold our character, because our character needs to be molded. If it's molded by the illusion, we'll become more illusory. If it's molded by a desire for truth, it'll become more seeking of that higher nature. And so in the Golden Age, knowledge is free. In the Golden Age, people have the right to articulate themselves as they wish. There is no suppression. The masculine and the feminine energies are balanced in the individual, so there is no need for playing the old illusory roles that have been assigned to the man and the woman. People are just free to be who they are. There isn't the projected assumptions that men operate in a certain way and women operate in a certain way. We've gone beyond that. We've transcended that limiting paradigm of the illusory masculine and feminine. We've become the androgynous being that our higher self is. So in the Golden Age, we set out as a collective to create the best possible outcome for every single being on the planet, which means we put aside our differences, which means we forgive those who sin against us, which means we work in unity consciousness. And it's unity consciousness that is the consciousness of the Golden Age. Unity consciousness is the consciousness where we realize that we are an integrated being in an integrated world, and that our efforts are needed to be joint in collaboration with those of others in order to steer our lives in a direction that is most serving and beneficial of the one and the all, which we are a part of. So, what is your contemplation of the Golden Age? How can you bring your efforts and your inspiration and your love and your joy and your healing and your creativity and your zest to usher forth this Golden Age where men and women live in peace and harmony?